Welcome back to some more Symphogear. Of course, everything we see is perfectly safe and we don't have to worry about any of the characters, no matter if they've been brainwashed or absorbed into some kind of deity energy. Well, I guess that's the price you have to pay when you're friends with a little saviour of humanity. But as we've seen in previous episodes, Carol returning, the auto score is being wiped out once again, and various other goings on, like some mind alteration. Nothing is quite as it seems, and it's not going to be an easy one. But the biggest question, how much danger is Miku in? Or at least what's left of her? Yeah, you know it's gonna go well when it's starting with a flashback of best friend moments. Talking about the ups and downs, the good and the bad, the times that they've shared together and overcome dramatic odds before. And is there anything left? I mean, she's been absorbed by something that's not quite herself before, and has come out the other side. Although not quite to this degree, I guess. Before it was just a relic, now it's actual power of the gods and the old ones and the like. One of my, not complaints, but at least things that I've brought up about Symphogear is that there doesn't seem to be kind of permanent ramifications, changes to the characters and things they have to fully deal with. It's an issue comes up, they spend a couple of episodes on it, and then make some personal epiphany, and everything's better again. The only one that really paid a price was Kanade. From episode 1, back when Hibiki wasn't part of the group and Tsubasa couldn't protect her. So if it actually flips out on his head and Miku is a victim of complacency for the rest of the show, it'd be very interesting. I would have to give it some compliments for doing that, but I'll withhold my judgment until we see what's going on. Who knows what's possible with the power of the custodians and what was before. Didn't think we'd be seeing... Yeah, she's not hungry. Didn't think we'd be seeing more of the father and whatnot. But if he now tries to actually be I like the oils and fats on the top there. That was a nice little detail. Anyway, living up to being a parent and whatnot. Because we know that, family still isn't back together because it's not easily fixed. True. He would know a bit more than the average. It is nice that even if the family isn't completely whole and whatnot, she does have someone that she can turn to like that. What a landing. and immediately removed from the dress. Not sure on the fashion choice for the boots though. Do not say something with her face like that. And is it Miku herself fighting back, or is it... Perfect time to interfere. And suddenly, vanish. Is anyone going... Cool. It seems at least someone might have actually noticed the change in her iris there. And is she going to immediately deliver her to the other guy? God, I can never remember that one's name. There must be something going on. I mean, is that a compliment? She's too single-minded on justice and the like. She can't betray. Yeah, that's intriguing. I guess she is the one that has spent the most time with Tsubasa out of all of them. I guess recently, at least. It is no longer who you knew. Mental override. A weapon that doesn't have any autonomy. One that you can control and you won't have to worry about it talking back to you. And yet, why? How could you... At least, you know, there's some inner turmoil there, even if she can't control her thinking. That not part of the instructions she was given? Throw away what it means to... Even though we've had multiple instances of where songs have actually saved the country. Yes, okay. Is it a lot of political maneuvering? Is it an assassination mission? There is little time because, as we saw, the mental override is almost complete. So, actually being given lethal force. Well, I mean, casualties are to be expected. Aha. She doesn't really have much leeway, does she? I mean, putting one's ideals above everything else is what separates them from... Even though it was said like a second ago. Separates them from the big evil of this arc. Yeah, but the conversation's difficult, so let him have a nap. life has not been particularly easy, I guess. I am expecting, though, with it only being a small sub-faction of the entire... Oh, actually, they've got a lot of expendable henchmen, which is good. Small sub-faction. It's not going to be an easy takedown. He's not even going to finish his sentence. Hopefully they've got a good retirement plan and, you know, death in service benefits, because Jesus. Couldn't you have discussed this before instead of having to stop midway and in a time like this, which every second matters? You know, the element of surprise is already lost. And the fact that he's actually going despite, you know, risk of life and limb. It takes someone strong of heart to be able to stand up to that kind of gaze. One that has strayed from the path and convinced themselves of their own self-righteousness. I think, yeah, having a scene like that and seeing it from the side, oh shit, the commander. I do like the backdrop of the moon like that, though. That was pretty good. The definition of what it is to be a sentinel and those that are deemed worthy of being protected. The thing is, once this mental seal is removed from her, is the strain upon her going to be easy to overcome? Is she going to be able to trust her own thoughts from here on out? Sorry, what was the need of that? You know, why can't you be that efficient when you're fighting the big bads and whatnot? Yeah, thinking that you're better than everyone else? Get a hold of yourself! Huh. Is that all it took? Actually, no, that's fair. A bit of percussive maintenance to the side of her face really woke her up out of the haze that she's been put in. Why? Apart from, you know, old samurai movies and whatnot, why are they on the roof? That was neat. The fact he was deflecting his punch like it would be a, you know, a swing from a blade. Don't get overconfident. He went from the surefire to a... to a lesser punch because he couldn't go through with it. Also, fingers to between the ribs there. Why was that so kind of dumb? You know, the suplex where they were both completely straight, even though it was banging on the ground, was kind of goofy, even by Symphogear standards. Searching for blood? Or getting a good protector so they can not immediately die? Maybe you should have... Fuck! Thought about that before lowering the force field. I mean, we knew they were weakened, you know, didn't have the strength from the blood and already... That was a scene. She has overcome the seal, although she could have used it as a sort of subterfuge if she knew what she was under. A Luger? How many more? Also, out of everyone to leap in front there. The one with a huge impact there. The fact that he's thrown away his entire family. Don't worry, there's a pretty good med bay. Yeah, she's already broken out of that conditioning, so this kind of conversation would have been good a while back, but, you know, for future-proofing... There really doesn't seem to be much redeeming qualities left, I mean, we already knew he was a bit of a hard-ass before, but... I don't think he's a music fan. It would be kind of interesting if they could force the swan songs onto others. Would make going to karaoke kind of difficult, though. This seemed... Unlimited blade works. This seemed like quite an intense transformation bit, and it quite suitable, the amount of blades and shit she has for each fragment of her armor. The fact he's not even looking. Able to turn it back around on him even after being grappled and grabbed. And... oh, of course we had that classic sound effect going on. Why do they need the gears themselves if they've got a single old man that could take out every enemy he faces? I don't know sign language, sorry. But yeah, interesting that they had this entire section of the fight kind of sealed off with just these lot because the others are underedged and they can't come into a battle like this. Huh. A kind of lotus bloom. Okay, if you got a segmented sword, you wouldn't, you're playing Monster Hunter, but oh, is he willing to become that monster himself? He's stripping, so maybe he'll become a martyr monster. This is not her place. This is not her legacy. She's had a lot of screaming in this episode. It's nice of you to not become like him, but he's still just sat there being all evil figure. Probation is temporarily lifted. Is she not going to have a snack before she goes? Words of wisdom to live by. But for her, it might be something else. I do like it. It's all about perspective. Depending on how you see it, take a curse into a blessing. Doesn't quite work in English, but sure. As long as you look at it in Japanese. Not much of a philosopher, so I'll give him any credit he can. Mr. Possibly Famous. Yeah, you should put it into a book. I'm sure it would be a bestseller. And with a renewed vigor, Tsubasa freed from the mental conditioning, Hibiki on the scene after talking to her father. We've got interesting few episodes. I'm surprised it came around so quickly, though. We're on 9. But I guess, yeah, having the reveal with Miku and her possible loss and everything, like I said, it's already overcome. Hibiki was in that funk of, oh no, I've lost that which I swore to protect, and the only thing that mattered. Don't worry. Half an episode later, she's back on form. But now, not just Miku, not just the nameless masses of sunglassed goons, but is there actual possible loss on the cards? Bullet wound isn't exactly 100% fatal, but definitely worse than some attacks they've sustained. Oh, after credits. Well, it was only a matter of time before the moon came back into play. Isn't everyone just having a wonderful day? If it's not turning into some Faust robe god deity with very little of the original remaining, if it's not losing your entire family to megalomania power tripping. It's being torn apart and cut asunder while trying to protect your friends. This episode had a lot of disaster happening, no matter what side you're on. Is that going to be the last we see of those three that were striving to create themselves anew? Somehow I doubt it, but it's difficult to think of how they'd come back. At least Miss Robo-Body is probably the least injured out of all of them. One being pierced through, one being cut in half entirely. Yes, it's going to need a little more than just a transfusion, that one. But Tsubasa being freed of her brainwashing, that's a start. Still, several characters having to fall along the wayside for that to happen. Whether they're just unnamed masses and on the employment roster or not is a question we don't really need to answer. But when it comes to the rest of it, where do they stand? Obviously, Miku has been purged of her power. And was it Symphogear? Well, it was, the relic thing before, so yeah, Symphogear. She was purged of that gear before. Can they do the same thing here, or is it much more infused? But Hibiki's not willing to just let it go, so she's going to fight tooth and nail and fist in order to bring back her sunshine. I just see a lot of dark days on the horizon until then. This episode was one hell of a showcase. If it's not characters trying to overcome their position in life, it's everything that I kind of wanted in getting the commander back on the scene in action. Even if he did get his ass handed to him rather spectacularly. But managing to stand up for himself against someone that is wielding a katana, so I think he did quite well. Symphogear is once again showing itself to be quite a show. It's not just the music and the constant people berating songs and how much they can do to the world. It's at least carrying on some personal convictions, and I do like having the father return, even if only momentarily, to give a little bit of advice. Reminding her to stay true to herself. Whether or not he's a decent person aside, at least he's trying. I didn't expect the SEAL command to be overridden with a hefty slap to the face, but here we are. If only other things in life can be solved so easily. I think a quick backhand could be a solution to quite a few of my life's troubles. But if you've enjoyed this episode, let me know. If I've entertained you, leave a like and a comment on the video. Consider even subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out future episodes. And of course, join onto my Discord for any memes and commentary and conversations, as well as votes for any upcoming shows. But for now, take care of yourselves, because I want to see you for the next one.